Recording in progress.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the third week of our beginner Excel classes. Over the past 3 weeks, we've covered quite some ground with our Excel. On the first day, we looked at introduction to Excel workbooks. So basically, we talk about the interface, navigating worksheets and workbooks, entry and formatting. The second day we talked about formatting, and we were introduced to some basic formulas. We also did cell references, which will come in handy today. On the third day, which was last week, Friday, we looked at inserting, managing worksheets generally. And then on Saturday, we started with simple visualizations. We did line graphs, bar charts, and pie charts. And then we also did some formatting and customizing of charts. We added data labels and titles. Today, we're going to do order in our work. So we are going to be talking about relative and absolute references. We're going to be looking at logical functions, if, and, or. And then we're going to be doing some formula nesting. So basically doing formulas inside formula. So yeah, thank you for joining. I hope today's session will be worth your time. So without wasting much time, I'll just get to it. So I'm going to be sharing a link to a document, so you can just download that and follow along. Yeah, so I'll drop the link in the chat. Kindly download the document and try and follow along as we work. All right, so I'm going to be opening up the data set on my own computer. Yeah, we'll be seeing that coming up in a short while. Yes, can someone please confirm they can see my screen? Anybody, anyone? God's favor, can you hear me? Can you see my screen? Okay, thank you very much. So we have a very simple data set here, but the hope is that at the end of the day, we'll be able to, understand some formulas. We are going a bit more better with, we're getting a bit deeper, digging deeper into formulas and how.
Sorry, yes, I can see your screen. So I was trying to download the document.
Oh, okay. But you might not be able to enjoy it very well if you are watching on your phone. Yeah, but you can still copy the link to the document and download anytime you have time. Of course, I'm recording, so you'll be able to see the video and work on it later.
Right, all right, thank you, sir.
Today we are going to be building a small dashboard. So as you can see, there are two tabs on this sheet. We have an hospital visit sheet. By the way, this is just made up data. This is not real. This cannot even be real data. By the time we are done with analyzing this, you'll see that this cannot be real data. So we have patient names, and then we have visitation dates. It's supposed to sort of be a data set where patients routinely visit a clinic, maybe for whatever reason. They basically just visit the clinic. So our goal today is to be able to show So this data covers a whole month. So what we are going to do today is to, try and visualize the entire month and see. So what did it look like for each patient, each individual patient, how, spread across the month were their visitations. Of course, as with anything that has to do with data analysis, there are 1,001, maybe not 1,001, but basically, the point is that there are more than one ways. There are many ways to approach that kind of problem. So as you can see, I'm not sure if my screen is big enough, so let me increase this. So we have 3 things to do. Let's hope we'll be able to complete that within the time frame. So you see this data set consists of hospital visits for patients for the month of December 2021. Create a dashboard to track the number of visitations per day. So basically that means you need to do something that would contain every single day of the month. And then how many females visited on December 15, how many males visited between December 6 and December 8. So let's go back and look into our data sets, right? First rule of, for me, I usually try to do some sort of data checks just to be sure if there's any problem. So I want to do some checks. So first and foremost, I'm going to convert this to a table to try and, make it look a bit more appealing. If you're wondering how I did that, I just used the shortcut Control-T. I'm using a Windows computer. So if you are using the Macintosh, it's going to be Command-T. But of course, we've not gotten to tables yet, so that's still further down the road. So I'm not going to be going into much details. And then I want to check if there is any missing data. I can apply some sort of filters to be sure there's no missing data. And then to also check the timeline. So if you see this, you can see that it has already sort of created a hierarchy. And this is one of the things we talk about when we talk about tables in Excel. So it has sort of created a hierarchy, and I can see that just like it was said, this data set contains 2021, the month of December, and then you can see from the first day up until the 31st day of December. So yeah, that seems like it's complete. Now, as to approach, anything that has to do with like maybe monthly visits. So I prefer to do sort of like a calendar. So I'm going to do that. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to just, since we've been told and we've confirmed that the date is from the 1st of December to the 31st of December 2021. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to do December 2021. Great. Yeah, so that's the first day. Just follow along. You'll get the sense of this very soon. So you can see that Excel has tried to autofill for me. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to drag this up until it gets to the end of 31st. And then as I'm dragging along, you can see the dates. So I'm supposed to end on December 2020. Yeah, so that's the reason you can see the hash sign is because the tables are not wide enough. So I've expanded those. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some sort of formatting because this is currently, please, if there's something you don't understand, please feel free to let me pause. I may not go into the details of how these things work exactly, but at least I would try to just, explain it. So I'm going to do some formatting, because what I want to try to do is to sort of be like a calendar. So I'm going to change this format. So I only want the day to show, right? I'm going to use a custom visual, and then I'm going to do, just show me the day. Since I already know it's the month of December, I just want you to show me the day. Sorry. Press OK. Now you can see I'm only getting the day of the month. Yeah. Now you can see that I'm able to see in one glance from the first day to the 31st of the month. Let's look at our question again. So track the number of visitations per day. So now that I have some sort of calendar, what I want to now do is each patient, I want to get their names. So I need to find a way to, bring their names all here from this table. So I'm going to use another formula. Now this is where nesting formulas come in. So I'm going to attempt to explain how I'm going to nest. Now, assuming I don't even know the number of patients that I have here, it's possible it's up to 100, because if you go to the end of this data set, you can see that you have 397 rows. Now, what I want to do is, sorry, please let me freeze this first column. What I want to do now is, I want to know the number of patients that I actually need, that I actually have in all. Now, Excel provides a formula that allows you to count unique values. So I'm going to just use that. Unique, count unique. I think there's count unique. Unique. No, it's not here. So it's probably, I'm mistaking the formula in Google Sheets. So I'm going to do, but there's a way I can nest formula. So now if I do unique, I'm going to pass in an array, right? So once I pass in this array, I'm going to get a table, right? No, let me not do this. So sorry. I'm not supposed to. I was trying to break, to get into the table. So I'm going to do it here so I don't affect the table. So I'm going to do unique, and then this column. Please, I need someone to speak to me so I can know I'm not speaking to myself. I need someone to hear someone's voice to be sure we are following. Anybody? God's favor?
Yes, sir. I'm following.
All right. So now, if I click on unique here, so unique returns every single unique value, right, in this table. Now you can see it has given me, all the unique values. Now I can see the number of unique values here. Now I'm going to update this to only show for the table. So I know this table ends at row 397 and then starts at row 2. So that way I can only see exactly the number of patients. No, now I'm going to nest this formula, meaning I want to now count. So how many patients do we have in all? So apart from using the unique value, which gives me an array containing all people in the table, now I want to count this. So now I'm going to count and then you can see it returns the number of patients. So let me add a column here. So total number of patients. Now you can see, now I know, okay, so we have 20 patients. I have 20 patients. Yeah, we have 20 patients in this that visited the hospital between December 1 and December 31. Now the next thing is still using this unique value. Now I want to populate the dashboard I'm trying to build. So I'm going to use the same value, the unique value. So I'm going to have equals to unique. Now, what I want to do is I want to sort so that it appears alphabetically. Now, once I sort, then you can see. So now I've done another nesting. Oh, you know, how you sort depends on, you know, what you're trying to achieve, or how you combine formulas, or how you nest formulas. That's what I mean to say. Depends on what you're trying to achieve. So you can see for this particular use case now, I'm interested in a logical or alphabetical list of all patients. So I'm using a sort function, and then I'm using a unique function. So basically, I want to show all the patients, and then I want it to sort them by, you know, by their name, by their first name. And of course, you see that for this particular instance, where I was interested in knowing the number, what I had to do was just combine the count and then unique. And we have these sets. So now we need to go on and start looking for how do we now know, okay, so how many on the 1st of December, how many times did Abigail Robinson visit, right? So that's where we are going to next. And this is where we are going to start talking about relative and absolute, you know, references when it comes to Microsoft Excel. This is a relatively technical, you know, part of Excel. I would not deceive you. It's relatively, you know, confusing, maybe not so technical, but it takes a lot of attention, paying attention to details. Now, I think it was last week, we talked about the COUNTIF function. We used the COUNTIF function. But this particular problem we are trying to solve. So what I want to do now is I have a table to my left. This table has a date, and then it has a patient name. And then I'm interested in finding out. So Aiden Brown, no, Abigail Robinson is the first person. On December 1, did she visit? If she visited, how many times did she visit? Now that means I'm looking at two things, two conditions that I need to take into account. How do I do that? I use a multiple count if. So basically, count if the patient name is Abigail Robinson, and then count if the date of December 1. So if you see, when I put my cursor on this date, first date, right, you can see that when you look in the formula, it's still showing 01/12/2021, which is December 1. All I've just done here is to format it to only show the day, because that's what I'm interested in. I only want the kind of a calendar view to make my work a bit more attractive and professional. So now to count for Abigail, all I need to do now is I'm going to do an equal to. Thankfully, Excel has a built-in function that allows us to do exactly that. So when you have multiple conditions that you want to count, and the function is count ifs. So you see there's a count ifs function, and you can see that it says count the number of cells specified by a given set of conditions and criteria. So now you will see the arguments are, you need to pass in the first criteria, pass in the range, pass in the second criteria, pass in the range. Now, what I want to do about the criteria range, criteria range criteria. So now I want to check if this patient list, patient name, that's the criteria range, for instance, if it's the same thing as patient Abigail. So you can see I'm matching column C. I want to look for cell H2. So look for cell H2 in column C, count it, and now you can see immediately I put a comma, you can see that there's criteria 2, criteria range 2, criteria range criteria 2, meaning that I can optionally pass in another range. So now what I want to do now is I want to count these visitation dates, right? And then I'm going to now match with these dates, which is cell I1. Now, when I do, when I close my brackets, you can see I have 0. This basically means that Abigail did not visit the hospital on these dates. Now, there is something called autofiller in Microsoft Excel. And what that means is that when I have a formula and I double click on the edge of the formula, it automatically populates the rest of the, formula for me. Now I'm going to do that, right? And then you can see I have, you can see that it has automatically populated this for me. And we see, so you can see it has automatically populated. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing. You can do the same thing across. And do the same thing across. Okay, I think we have a problem. Now, it should not be happening. It's still movement out. Something. Sorry, let me. Okay. Because I'm expecting that this should have started populating. Okay. Count. H2 AA. I think we have made a mistake. CHAEI. Yeah, we're correct. So we are correct. But then, if you look, when we did this, right, see, things look a little bit fine. So you can see that for row, what is it called? For row, let's see, row 10, I10, the formula is correct. So it's still looking in column C and then looking for H10, that's Harper White, looking in column A and looking for I9. Now, this is where the problem is. You will see that what I'm interested in here, you can see that this thing has automatically changed. When we started here, right, this was I1. Please, I need you to follow me critically. But then when we move to the next row, this has changed to I2. Now, what this means is that it's going to be looking for column A and be looking for the value of 0. But that is not what we want. So we actually want that I1 to stay as I1. We don't want it to move. So that is where the idea of referencing or absolute and relative references come into. In Excel, there is something called locking. So if you don't want your formulas to move, there's a way you can lock them. Now, take for instance, for this particular cell I3, what I really want is for this to remain as I1. Sorry, I want this to remain as I1. I don't want it to go to I2, right? The same thing for this, I want it to remain I1. The same thing for this, I want it to remain I1. Now, you can see that this has changed to 1 because if you look here, you will see that there's December 1 and then there is Ava Turner. So the way we were doing it before, this was choosing I4. That was because we did not properly reference. Now, to reference, what you need to do is just put a $sign where you want to lock. So now I'm going to put a $sign behind this I, meaning I want you to lock this number down. And then I'm going to drag down. I'm going to drag all the way down. And then you will see, where's my name? And then I'm going to drag all the way down. Now you can see that the formula has changed. Now, if I look at cell I21 now, you see that where I locked remains locked. So that $sign has locked down that one because this 1 is what we are using to compare for column A. I want these dates to be the same across my entire column. And that's the reason that I needed to lock that I1. In the same vein, when moving across the row, you would see that column A is where we are actually comparing for the first criteria. If I move back here, you see column A is where I'm, looking up the value I1. When I want here, you can see that 2 things. This column here has changed to B, and this one has changed to J1. One is correct because I want my J to remain A. I want the columns to change. So now for this one, I want the columns to change, not the row. And then if I go next, you see K, but you see that this has also changed to C. So what I need to do in this instance is I want this the range for the second argument to stay at A. So I'm going to need to lock this column. Now, another way to lock is using the F4 key on your keyboard. Now, once I've locked this, even if I move my formula by row, right, it's going to stay at column A. So now I'm going to do that. And then I will drag this formula across. Across AM. But then there's another problem. You can see now that H2 here has changed values again. Now here it's no longer H2, it's I2. So I need to lock this H as well. So I want the row number to remain the same, but I want the row number to remain the same, but the column to change. So I'm going to need to lock this column. I'm going to need to lock the row, sorry, because I want that to remain the same, right? H2. So now when I drag this across, in the same vein, I want this column to stay the same, column C. So I'm going to lock this too. I'm going to lock this and then drag. So once we do this, we should be able to get column C, I2. No, it's not I we want to change. It's actually, this is the one we want to stay constant. It's the column H we want to stay constant, not the row, not column 2. So this is what we want to stay constant. Sorry about that. I think we have it right now. So now I'm going to drag again. Now you can see when I said this takes a lot of patience and can be very confusing. So now you can see that our formulas are populating. Now all I need to do now is just to double click on this, and this should populate automatically. Oh, it's not populating. I'll just drag down. Just drag down. I'm going to drag this down. Now you can see we have our formula, we have our visitations, you know, we have it complete. Now, one way to make this more visually appealing is to apply conditional formatting. I'm not sure today is the day for that, but basically you can see we already have visits. So you see, if I want to see now, on the 15th day of the month, total number. So now I'm going to add a total column or a total row where I can use, so what I'm going to do here now is just to sum each row. So I'm going to sum all of this to know the total number of visitations. Is it giving me 0? I2 to I22. I2 second. So I'm going to do 8. Yeah. So what is in the I2 to I21. So we have that as our sum. Then, sorry, and drag this. Now, I've no need to apply any referencing here because I want this to switch. So now if you see, when I move next, you can see that this has changed from I to J. When I move next, you see it has changed from J to K. So that's the way I want it to be. So now, if someone asks me now, so what is the total number of people that visited on December 15th? I have 9. I can do the same across. So basically, I want to know the number of days that each person, total number of days that each person, total number of visits that each person made. So now I'm going to do a sum again, but now I'm going to do the sum for the row. So I'm going to do it across the row. So you can see 23, and then when we do, yeah, you can see 396. Yeah, any questions so far? Now, if I drag this, see, this is the total. So total here, total here. Questions? We understand the idea of conditional. I said conditional referencing. Anybody that does not understand, please speak up so I can do like you. Hello, are we here? I feel like nobody's. Is there something you are not clear about? Benjamin, you want to say something?
The process is quite confusing, and I don't know.
Okay.
But I think with the recording, I would find my way.
All right. Alrighty. So I'm just going to attempt to do a little bit of recap with the formula. When you are doing real calculations on Microsoft Excel, most of the time you do a lot of autofilling, meaning that you have a very long table and then you don't want to be manually filling up formulas. So one way to make your work easier is to do autofilling. And when you do autofilling, Excel assumes a lot of things for you. So for it not to assume, you do what is called cell referencing. You do absolute and either absolute or relative referencing, right? Now, what we have done here with this column, you see that there are dollar signs. It basically means for this column, no matter what you do, don't shift, don't move it from that CC. So let me move up a little bit. So let me do maybe this might help to bring it home a bit. A1 and let me do A2 plus A3. So ignore this, ignore the number, it's just basically adding up numbers. Now, you see that I've added 2 numbers. When I want to autofill in Excel, I drag either down or right or left, as the case may be. So if I drag down, Excel will automatically change the cell reference for me based on how I'm going. So if you see, for this one now, A stands for column, 2 stands for row. So add column A, add the cell in column A, row 2, to the cell in column A, row 3. So when you are moving down, by default, Excel keeps the column number constant. So you can see this is A2. Down, you can see now it has added 1 to the first one, added 1 to the second one. That's because Excel normally, when you move down one cell, it assumes that you are shifting address. So it automatically changes accordingly. And then you see that the column, which is A, has been kept constant. If I move it right, the reverse will be the case. It's going to keep the row constant and change the column. So let's do that. Let me expand this a bit. So now you might understand this better, because now you are seeing an error. So now, when I move to this next value, you will see now Excel has attempted to autofill for me. It has changed this to B2 plus B3, meaning that it has kept my row numbers constant, but has left column, has shifted column one place because I moved one place. You get? So that's the idea. To avoid that happening, you need to either lock those cells into place. So you either lock the column or lock the row, depending on how you want to move. So now, in this case, let's say I want to move right, but I want to keep my column constant. Normally, when you move right, that's when you move across the row, is the column that will change. But I want to keep my column constant. What I need to do is to put a $sign behind the columns. So if I put a $sign here, that $sign here, and then I move, you would see that you can see that it has kept both A's constant. So because that $sign is there, that it's actually an anchor sort of. So it's kind of like an anchor. It basically anchors A. If you are familiar with how sheeps function, when you don't want a sheep to move, you anchor it down. So what that $sign does is it anchors that letter A, so that even when I move right or I move left, it stays in the same. If when I'm moving down, I don't want the row numbers to change, I need to anchor the numbers as well. So I can anchor this 2 and also anchor this 3. When I put this anchor here and then I move it down, instead of switching, it does not switch, it stays the same. So that's basically the idea of absolute and relative referencing. What I've done here is I've made the reference absolute. So keep it the way I've kept it. Don't change it. But then by default, Excel assumes a relative reference. So you can see how this played out with this particular KPI the dashboard we had to build. So maybe I'll keep this dashboard when we talk about conditional formatting. We're going to now beautify this. We'll make it look very, very much appealing, so that, okay, so we want to see when somebody did not visit, we want a different color. When somebody visited maybe only once, we want another color. When somebody visited 2 times, we want another color. When somebody visits 3 times, we want another color. And then we'll see a sort of heat map on the screen. It looks beautiful, it looks much more appealing, and it tells a lot. At one glance, you can see, okay, around this period, people tended to come more. So basically, those are the kind of insights you can draw from using conditional formatting in Excel. Yeah, so I think this is a very good point to put this to pause. If there's still somebody that's not clear, I know we're supposed to look at logical functions, but I'll probably, okay, yeah, let me see if I can still talk about it. So we have 2 more questions. Let's see if we can look at maybe 1 or 2 more. How many females visited on December 15th? Right? So now, you can see we have a sex, right? We have, so we can use formulas to calculate. So what I'll first of all do is I'm going to calculate the number of people that visited on December 15. Although we already have that, we can look at December 15 here. December 15, we add a total of 11 people. So, but we don't know which one is female, which one is male, right? So let's say number of or number of females who visited December 16. Is it 15 or 16? I think it's 16. I think it's 15. Let me just quickly confirm that. Yeah, it's December 15th. So now what we can do with this, we can do count if too. So let's do count ifs. Count ifs column is equals to female. That's the first criteria. And then if this column, remember, I want to lock, is equal to December 15th. So this is December 15th. So you can see we have 5. We have 5. So the number of females that visited on December 15th so you can see the number of females who visited on December 15th is 5. Is there something here that's not clear? Maybe I should repeat the formula. There's obviously more than one approach. I can use an and or an or as a formula. So I can say calculate. So let's say let me see if I can use a logical to let's do the second one. So the number of males, I think here we'll be able to use logical function. The number of males who visited between December 6 and December 8. So we're going to do this. I'm running out of time, but please let's just quickly December 6 and 8. So now I'm going to do something. Just a second. So here now I'm going to do count ifs 2. Criteria range 1, I'm looking for males, right? M. Now, criteria range 2, I want to know if the date is December 8, December 6, or I need to put a logical. So I'm going to put a logical here. So I want to know so I'm going to put work AA equals to, let's hope this works. We'll see. If it doesn't work, we'll try something else. Should work. It's missing 6. Too few arguments for this function. Okay, yeah, so I think this might not work. So what we're going to do is we're going to use count if is Yeah, so this is for December 6. I think N1 is 6. So we're going to do copy December 7 is O plus December 8 is P. So now we didn't really use a logical. The logical did not work the way I expected it to work. But yeah, between December 6th, so count if it's a male and then it's December 6th, that's this N1. Count if it's a male and basically that plus is December 6th, December 7th, December. So it's an or. If it's and, it should be multiplied. But basically, you can see how we've been able to use, like, putting more than one formula together to get our destination. So we are done for today. Tomorrow we'll look at logical functions and how they help us make analysis a lot easier to do. Questions. Thank you for everyone that has stayed till the end of today. As usual, I'm going to upload the video online, and then we can watch at our convenience for those that were not able to make it. Thank you very much for those that stayed till the end. Appreciate your time. Have a good evening. But before I go, if you have any question, like I always say, drop me a chat on the group, or any of my social media platforms online. Thank you. We'll see you again tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Pleasure.